Hey, it's Rob. Even our hardcore subscribers sometimes just want the highlights of some of our best shows. But if you ever want the full version, it's right there in the description. Enjoy. Have you ever had this experience before? Maybe you've been watching a television show or a movie, and then somewhere around the middle of the TV show or movie, you have a friend or family member who comes in and they sit down and watch the show and they'll make a comment about something that's going on in the show. Maybe they'll say something like, "Oh, I like that character." And then you have to turn to them and say, "Oh, no, no, no. You don't want to like that character. That guy just killed somebody. I know you just came in, but let me catch you up to speed on what's really happening," right? Well, this is kind of how I feel when I talk to some of my black Democrat friends. Maybe we're watching the Republican National Convention or something like that, and then I got to hear some snide comment like, "Did you see how many black people were at the Republican National Convention? What were there, 3 black people? Yeah, way to diversify, guys." And then I want to turn to them, "Hey, I know you just came in, but a whole lot happened while you were gone. Let me catch you up to speed." In that same Forbes article I talked about, it goes on to say, prior to 1936, a majority of black voters supported Republicans due to the Republican Party's historic role in ending slavery. However, the Great Depression and the New Deal led the majority of African Americans to switch allegiances to the Democrats starting in 1936. Now let's go back to that chart that I showed you before. Remember that chart that I showed you before? It goes all the way back and tracks the GOP share of the black vote from 1932 all the way up until 2020. Well, if you go back to 1932, you'll see that the GOP share of the black vote was as high as 77%. That means more than half the black people you'd meet back in 1932 were Republicans. So how did we get here? How do we go from an era where more than half of the black people that you'd meet in 1932 were part of the Republican Party to today where more than half of the black people that you'd meet will be part of the Democrat Party? Well, the story that the Democrats like to tell is that black people left the Republican Party in droves during the 60s, during the Civil Rights Bill. But that's not accurate at all. Even the chart suggests that black people left the Republican Party long before any Civil Rights Bill in the 60s. Black people left the Republican Party way back in 1936 when FDR was elected. Well, you probably already know that the war between Republicans and Democrats was fought over slavery. You probably already know that the war between Republicans and Democrats was led by Republican President Abraham Lincoln. You probably already know that the war between Republicans and Democrats was won by Republicans, and you probably know that that same Republican president signed the Emancipation Proclamation. So you'd probably understand why most black people would be Republican. So what went wrong? Let's cover the part that you don't know. Here's a photo of 20,000 fascists all gathered together. You may say, so what? What's the big deal? The big deal is this isn't Italy. It's not Germany. Nope. This is New York City, Madison Square Garden, 1939. The next time someone talks to you about right-wing fascism, I want you to remember what I'm getting ready to show you. This is FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. We elected Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1933. This is the president that blacks made the switch to the Democrat Party for. Now, people always discuss FDR when talking about the subject of the Great Depression, but there's some other information about FDR that rarely ever gets discussed. FDR once referred to this man as that admirable Italian gentleman. The only problem is this person that you see on your screen is Benito Mussolini.